After doing things the hard way for years, I found 5 table saw upgrades that make me safer and more efficient when I'm in the shop. And one common accessory is great, but has a very dangerous flaw. Don't worry, I'll show you how to fix it. I cut my own hardwood edge banding for plywood projects, and there used to be a lot of wasted setup and measuring time. This would not be a big deal if I was just cutting one piece, but trying to get multiple pieces of edge banding to be the exact same thickness took a long time and was really tough. This thin rip jig from Woodcraft makes my life so much easier and has a very simple design. I'm not going to tell you how long it took me to discover this product because it's embarrassing, but I have it now and my life is better for it. You just set it and forget it. I mean, don't literally forget it because that would be dangerous, but you do set it and then every piece will be the exact same width. If you're going to be cutting a lot of edge banding or thin strips, this is a real changer of the game, as they say. Boom, same exact size. Okay, you know what time it is. It's height gauge time. This height gauge is from DFM. The design is just so simple and it saves me time, and anything that saves me time, I am a big fan of. Before I got this, I was measuring my blade like I was in the early 1300s when table saws were definitely a thing. Now, since I'm a big fan of saving time, I can measure my blade height a lot faster. It's basically the Michael Johnson of measuring. Oh, and don't worry about that hole in my insert plate. We'll fix that a little later. This is the bee's knees because you can measure it to 1/8 of an inch, and I generally don't need it more exact than that. Yes, there are cheaper height gauges on Amazon, but I buy from DFM for a few reasons. One, their manufacturing is in America. B, these little guys are self-standing, which is nifty. Roman numeral 3, these are softer than steel or carbide, so it won't damage your blades. And D, their customer service is awesome, so if you have a question or concern, they will get back to you super quick. Over the years, I have had tens of people ask me if I have a video on how I made the Crosscut Sled that I use. And until now, I've had to say no. But now I can confidently say still no, because that's a different, smaller sled. But I will now point them to this video because this larger sled can do 99% of what I need it to. It just can't do bevels. I'm making this back fence in a way to accept T-track so I can use a stop block for repeatable cuts. And in a minute, I'll show you how to make the most inexpensive stop block you'll ever see. So why even have a crosscut sled? Well, I view the crosscut sled as an essential table saw jig, and here's why. First, I get to say sled, which makes me think of Santa, and jig, which makes me think of an Irish jig, both of which put me in a good mood. It's also a great way of very accurately cutting large pieces of wood on the table saw. And I do a horrible job of demonstrating this, as I must have chosen the thinnest piece of wood in my shop to make this sled's first cut. You'll see that in a minute. I've seen people cut this T-track slot using a dado stack, but I didn't really want to mess with that, so I just made the middle piece of wood a little shorter. In a lot of crosscut sled videos I've seen, the woodworker cuts the runners, which go on the underside of the sled, to fit the miter slots perfectly. I am going to intentionally cut them narrower, which will make things a lot easier. I also saw one video where they used a crosscut sled to make their crosscut sled. It was phenomenal. To cut the main body of the sled to its final width of 42 inches, I'm using a track saw, but you do not need a track saw. You can use a circular saw with a straight edge, and I usually use my level as the straight edge. For the hardwood runners, I'm using some hickory, and I'm planing it down to be less than 3/8 of an inch because my miter slots on my table saw are 3/8 of an inch tall. As you can see, my runners are narrower than my miter slots, like I said they were going to be, because I'm not a liar. I hate to flaunt my wealth as I use pennies and dimes to raise up the runners, and I know I'm going to lose some subscribers because of this, but I've accepted it. I'm using some wedges on the runners, and this just made things so much easier because I did not have to cut the runners to be the exact size of the miter slots. If you decide to make this, you have to weigh down the sled with these exact items or it just won't work. It's science. I am so excited. Here comes my first mistake, and definitely not my last in the video, where I am extra silly. No big deal. What I thought was kind of a big deal was that this sled literally wouldn't move when I tried to push it. To be clear, this is not me trying to move my table saw cart. This is me trying to push the sled. To fix it, I used a product that many of you use to get rid of all your excess body hair, and there's no judgment. I don't do it because my pain tolerance is much too low, and as you've deduced by now, you all are much tougher than I am. To make this sled move smooth like butter, I did not use butter, I used wax. And paste wax is definitely what they use to remove body hair as well. Definitely. Ooh, look at that, all right. And no movement side to side. Success. So you can buy a stop block. People will take your money. But I've never felt the need to buy one because it's cheaper to make my own and I felt that mine are just as good. But if you want to buy one, I've heard Jonathan Katz-Moses has a really great one. I'm cutting a slot in the top so I can move this stop block forward and back if I need to, and I decided to add oak dowels as reinforcement. The oak and walnut actually went together really well, much like Tom and Jerry or Batman and Robin. A crosscut sled is also great for preventing tear out, but what about when you're ripping a piece of wood, not cross-cutting it? Well, I have a solution for you, my friend. We're friends, right? Yeah, we're friends. That's where a zero clearance insert plate comes in real handy, but that's not all it's good for. We'll go through all the benefits of a ZCI, which is what the cool kids call it, but for whatever reason, if you didn't want to make one yourself, Daniel Dunlap at Daniel Dunlap Woodworks has a great Etsy store where he makes these out of beautiful hardwood and they're fantastic. I used hickory for this because it's what I had on hand, but plywood also would work well. I just like using hardwood because I can plane it down to the perfect thickness for what I need. If, as you're watching this, you're looking at all the shop furniture I have in my workshop and you're liking, I sell plans for pretty much all of it on my website, thomascustomwoodworks.com. You might have noticed that I have not used my MicroJig gripper that much in this video, and that's not by mistake. I just haven't felt safe using it until now, and we'll get to that in just a couple minutes. Every insert plate is going to be different, and my table saw has certain protrusions, which forces me to have to chamfer certain areas and hog out material with a straight cut bit in others. If there's one tool that makes me a little nervous every time I use it, it's the router table. Am I alone here? I don't think I am, but in the comments let me know if you have a tool that makes you a little anxious when you're using it in the shop. I have my ZCI all cut to size and it fits really well on my table saw. I've even cut a little piece of wood that I glued on the end so it stays put when I'm using the saw. The last thing to do is what I thought was going to be the easiest part, cutting a slot in the middle with my table saw blade. I put painter's tape and a piece of 3/4 inch plywood on the top to try and decrease tear out. I used an 8-inch blade first and then I switched over to my normal 10-inch blade. So I just did something really dumb, and if you're like, how dumb was it? If they were making a 4th Dumb and Dumber movie, they would only need me to play both Lloyd and Harry, and it would be called Dumbester. That's how dumb. I had no idea why smoke was coming out of my table saw, but when I stop this blade, you'll see immediately what I did wrong. Can you see it yet? Can you see how I was being super silly? At first I thought maybe it's that piece of plywood I put on top that's causing my table saw to overheat, or maybe just causing excess burning in the wood. And then when I was pretty much done with the insert, I finally noticed what was wrong. Yep, I had put the table saw blade backwards in my table saw. It really wasn't a huge deal and nobody was hurt. I just felt a little embarrassed, and I did have the thought of not including it in the video, and then I thought, nope, I gotta give the people what they want, me being silly. So why is a ZCI a great upgrade for your table saw? 1, it looks great. 2, helps with dust collection. 3, less tear out. And 4, it prevents those little teeny pieces of wood from falling down into your table saw. So you've made or bought your insert plate, which is fantastic, but now you need to know how to actually push the wood through your table saw safely. Well, that's where my next accessory comes into play, and I've rarely heard anybody talk about this. I've used the MicroJig gripper for many years, like a lot of people, and it's worked well, but it has one glaring flaw. This Jacksonville Jaguar themed push block works pretty well. It has grippy tape on the bottom and can be adjusted for different sizes of wood. The handle is comfortable to use, and for most pieces of wood, this grip tape is enough. It even comes with an accessory that allows you to rip thin pieces of material safely, as demonstrated here by yours truly. That's me. Apparently, I'm truly yours. Although it has this green grip on the bottom, sometimes it just isn't enough and the gripper slides along the top of the wood as I'm making the cut. I feel safe using this most of the time, but sometimes the wood can get pinched between the blade and the rib fence, making it tough to push it all the way through. Other times the wood can actually get stuck, and this happened to me a couple years ago, which was a little bit scary. Not scary for me, of course, because I don't get scared, but I would imagine it would be scary for other people. Luckily, I know enough not to stand directly behind the workpiece. This flaw can be easily avoided with one accessory, the MicroJig Gravity Heel Kit. The kit comes with 5 heels just in case they get chewed up by the blade, and it's weird to say, but sometimes the top of wood can be a little slick, especially when it comes out of the planer. This completely solves the issue, and I'm now able to push my workpiece all the way through every time. You're all good on the table saw, but the next step is to learn 7 upgrades for your miter saw, and I have that video right here. I'll see you over there.